Out of all the banned Pokemon, moves, and items, the most enigmatic is, unsurprisingly, the Enigma Berry. So what's the deal with it? The Enigma Berry was often prohibited from competitive play during Pokemon's 3rd generation. It's funny looking back and seeing it next to the Soldew on a list of restricted items. And while the story behind it isn't as serious, it is rather curious. In Generation 3, the Enigma Berry was unobtainable through normal gameplay, and was instead something of a placeholder item alongside the e-reader berries. The Nintendo e-reader was a device that connected to the Game Boy Advance and could scan cards for various games. This is a whole rabbit hole on its own that I would love to talk about someday when I actually obtain my own e-reader, and the much more expensive cards, but the basic thing for now is that Pokemon had e-reader functionality. Specifically, there were these berry cards that, when scanned, allowed you to receive the corresponding berry in the game. So the Enigma Berry itself wasn't a card, it was a placeholder along the same lines as this. At least that's what I can figure out. We'll see more of a connection as we go into the next generation. I do find it pretty interesting that an item unobtainable through normal gameplay was actually acknowledged by the Pokemon Company, to the point that it was banned from competitive play for that reason. It didn't even have an actual effect in Generation 3, because it wasn't meant to. Not really an exciting story though, but it was still given a unique sprite, being a black berry with question marks all around it. Basically the berry version of the Pokemon placeholder sprites from that same generation. Now that's pretty clever. Moving into Generation 4, it was made into an actual berry and no longer banned from competitive play. Attempting to transfer e-reader berries through the PAL Park would just cause them to turn into Enigma berries, and so that's where the connection between them all comes in. It even has an effect now, which is that when it's held, it restores 1/4 of the user's HP after they're hit with a super effective move. That's it? I mean, there are worse berries, but there are also better ones. The citrus berry still outclasses just about every other HP recovery berry. Well, at least it's been promoted from, well, nothing. Though it was still rare and was mostly a held item of distribution Pokemon, which actually gives it an odd connection to Darkrai. Now, one of the first Darkrai distribution events is one that I actually attended back in the day. To celebrate the release of the Rise of Darkrai movie, a Darkrai holding an Enigma Berry was distributed. It also knew Roar of Time and Spatial Rend, the signature moves of Palkia and Dialga. It is really weird that a Darkrai would know these moves, but I'm guessing it's mostly meant as a reference to the fact that Palkia and Dialga appear in the movie, similar to a Victini that was distributed during Black and White. But what's neat is that the same Darkrai was adapted into a trading card that was a promo for Japanese theatrical releases, and was included in DVDs for the European release. It knows both signature moves and is even holding an Enigma Berry. Held items were something pretty neat that they did in Generation 4 in the TCG, and so it's cool to see it here. And pretty much every future Darkrai distributed from events would be holding the same item. And I'm not really seeing too much of a solid connection. It could be that Darkrai is a mysterious Pokemon in both the game appearances and movie debut, and so it's holding a mysterious berry. It could be that they both have a similar color scheme because, that just looks cool. Maybe along with theories of the dream world being an actual separate dimension, Darkrai could have actually accessed the dream world and brought the Enigma Berry from there. Or maybe they just needed some way to have this berry available and Darkrai had no real signature item to hold, so they just give him the Enigma Berry. And that brings the strange Darkrai connection chapter to a close.
Who wants a
Enigma Berry?
at 3 in the morning?
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
So apparently, in Generation 6, you could use it as an ingredient along with a Roselli berry to make an ultra rare soda at the Lumiose juice shop? I had no idea there was a juice shop in Lumiose. I was too busy at the restaurants. But yeah, this was a place where you could get drinks to increase Pokemon's EVs, friendship, and level. And so with the Enigma Berry basically being the rarest berry in the game at the time, I guess it made some sense to have it as the ingredient for one of the rare items on this crafting list. But ever since then, the Enigma Berry has just kind of faded into obscurity, because now it's easily available in Sword and Shield's Crown Tundra. But it is really funny to see the journey this item has taken throughout the years. And a berry of all items. It's still just a mediocre HP berry that's a little more obtainable than before, but it hits a bunch of boxes. Banned, unobtainable, obscure, rare, and mysterious. And so that has been the story of the... But anyway, hey, this is Gatorex, and let me know what you think about the Enigma berry, and I guess some of the other weird, obscure berries. Obviously, I didn't feel like talking about all of them because, you know, they're all just berries, except for the Enigma berry because it's so weird. Really interesting story. But if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon, or further support by clicking that heart icon. Anyway, this has been Gatorex. Have a nice day.